what is the clinical relevance of this specific data, and how can clinicians or even world leaders interpret or apply that data?
As we understand more and more about both brain health and the development of Alzheimer's disease, there are a bunch of things which we have no control over, like our age and our sex and our genes. But we're understanding more and more there are things that we have some control over. So about 40% of the attributable risk of Alzheimer's disease can be explained by things that we have at least some control over the course of our life. So this includes things like your formal schooling and educational attainment. This includes things like our bad social habits, like drinking and smoking. This includes management of existing diseases like diabetes or high blood pressure, but also things that we have some control around our environment. You know, our physical activity, our cognitive activity, our diet. But another aspect of it is sort of how much time we spend out in the world. And our data and the data of other researchers has suggested that exposure to greater amounts of green space, open parks, neighborhoods that are tree lined as opposed to sort of inner city, hard concrete landscapes, seems to have evidence for better cognitive performance in later life and larger brain volumes, particularly hippocampal volumes. So of course the hippocampus is thought to be the seat of short-term memory. And we've been able to demonstrate a link between this and across multiple data sets. And so because we're doing these in independent data sets that have been collected in longitudinal studies, that sort of reaffirms the fact that these are things that we can think about, developing smart cities going forward, but also what we would probably want to do in our early and later life, which is get outside of our house, outside of our office, and experience the beauty of the world as it is. And this also, I think, is important, for Dr. Besser on the urban planning side is, well, how do we design cities in ways that really get people the opportunity to get exposure? So, people live in the country, obviously there's more greenery, but people live in the cities. A city that has a lot of parks, for example, is the brain health of those people better than cities that don't have a lot of parks? So I grew up in the Northeast. Of course, in New York City, there's Central Park, which is a big park, but actually not that big of a park. The largest city park is in Philadelphia, Fairlawn Park, which actually is the biggest inner city park. Then I was in St. Louis for 10 years, and Forest Park is about 3 times the size of Central Park. And when I was in St. Louis, the facilities in the park were free. So the zoo, the science museum, the history museum, the art museum, they were all free. And people who could afford it joined and paid a membership fee that allowed basically to defray the cost so that everybody could experience the park. And so, I use St. Louis as an example. There was a great opportunity to be in this very, very large park, about 3.5 times the size of Central Park, where you could go to the zoo at any time you wanted for free. Go to the history museum, the art museum, and and that ability to be out in the park and get the opportunity to be in green space, I think is a great advantage. And I felt better for being in it, but our data would suggest that my brain is better for being in it as well.